Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Sandeep Pahuja. I'm from Career Avancer, and I'm a career counselor. So, welcome to yet another episode of Career Awareness series by Career Avancer. Today, we are going to discuss about career in law. Right? We actually were scheduled to have an Instagram live session, but unfortunately, we were not able to do so because of some technical difficulties. Some people joined our webinar also, not webinar, but Instagram live session, but they could definitely watch us having technical issues, and we had to get off in Instagram. But nonetheless, we have our expert with us. We are going to talk to Ms. Shriya Gilhotra today. She is an extremely talented advocate. She is an advocate in Delhi High Court. So welcome Shriya.
Hi, Mr. Sandeep. Thanks for having me here.
It's very nice having you, and thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule. I understand we had some issues with Instagram, so half an hour went into that, and now also you're spending time here. So we are extremely thankful for that.
No problem, sir.
I hope this session goes, just goes straight and smooth.
Right.
All right, Shriya. So, as I told everyone, you are an advocate from Delhi High Court, and I'm sure
Right.
lot of career aspirants would be watching this video when we post this, and they would look forward to some very interesting tips and insights about the career in law, what they should be doing, and what they should, how they should plan their career, and what is the next move, what should be the first step, how they should prepare, and all that. So we're gonna cover all this, and we're gonna start with you. Obviously. So how did you went about your career, and in the beginning, and how did you enter into law, entered the law arena? How did you start as an advocate?
Okay, so first of all, like every other student who was in 11th or 12th standard, I was very confused at that point of time. Now, eventually, towards end of my 11th standard, I started having thoughts about it. What am I going to do after my 12th standard gets over with?
Okay.
So I was confused, like every other student is. What am I going to do? I have different passions, but can't follow them. I have to do something. It has to be professional also. It has to be something different also. And I want to have a future with it. So I wanted to be practical also about it. So out of all the options, I was less inclined towards, regular courses, the mainstream courses that we call, for example, BA, BBA, and BCom, which are not as professional as certain other professional courses. So I was sure that I had to do something professional. So, and plus another factor was my dad was very moved and he was very excited about this career in law. He always wanted me to be an advocate, to be a lawyer. So I followed his path, I followed his words, and I definitely made a wise choice, I think. And here I am. That's how I got into law.
That's how cool is that? I mean, we have somebody who did not actually wanted to be a lawyer and ended up being a lawyer because the seed was actually sown by your father.
Yes, actually. And I don't regret it. This was not my passion in the earlier stages. Like every other student has certain different passions, ends up doing something else. So, but I don't regret it. I am very happy to be here.
All right. And
Choosing this as my career.
Yeah, I heard you somewhere that you took some career assessment advice, career counseling advice also, which also pointed towards law, right?
Yes, actually. Earlier, I chose a science stream in my college, which is not a deciding factor at all.
Right.
A student from any background can end up pursuing law. But at that point of time, I wasn't interested in science. So that's why I took career assessment test, which turned out to be, that I don't have any interest in science. So that was a different aspect of it. That's why I changed my field to commerce. But yeah, that was just there. there was no requirement of me doing commerce for ending up in law. That was just a field advice, So, yeah.
I'm sure you'd be glad today that you took that test, right?
Yes, definitely.
And let me just tell everybody
Definitely.
that let me just tell everyone that the career counselor was not me. So I did not tell Shriya to get into this field, but yes, career counseling helped her. It's worthwhile mention here.
Yes, absolutely. It was definitely worth it. I owe my decision, I owe my career to that person who gave me that advice that day.
That's very cool. So
Played a very
yeah.
yes person.
So today, as we see, today as we look at it, the career in law has gained uh, much importance, like engineering or MBA, which wasn't always like that,
Yeah,
right? So what is the reason
right.
behind that? So when I spoke to students maybe 10 years ago, people were not really inclined towards pursuing law, pursuing LLB as a career. So now I see young, bright children, young, bright kids who get out of maybe school or maybe out of college. School, I'm saying, because there are integrated courses as well, 5 years courses, and after graduation, obviously there are courses available. So when we see these kids, there are so many children who are who want to do something in law, who want to become lawyer, advocates, who maybe their ultimate goal is to join some some business house or something, but in this field they want to enter law. Why do you think there has been a change in thoughts of people like that?
So yes, you're right, Mr. Sandeep. At a point of time, there were only handful of careers.
Mhm.
There were only few careers, largely that were on fingertips of every parent and every student,
Yes, yes.
which was engineering
Yeah,
from non-medical background, which was doctor, becoming a doctor from a medical background, and
absolutely.
then if you are in commerce, then you would pursue BBA or BCom
Correct.
or later MBA. So
Or
these
maybe
were
a
the
CA.
only careers that were there. Right,
Yeah.
right. So these were the only careers that were on fingertips of every parent and every student.
Mhm.
But as passions started diversifying in students,
Mhm.
in children,
Mhm.
I want to do something different. I want to do something else apart from the mainstream. I want to
Mhm.
be on a different path altogether. So interest started developing in children and students into a different direction, which gave way to a lot of career options that are there today.
Mhm.
So gradually, interest started diversifying, passions started diversifying, which has led us into an era where we have n number of options, n number of careers into a single career. In the
Right.
form of a single career, we have several paths. So yes, I guess developing interest, growth of population, and everything has led us into this era.
I think truly said. Yes, people used to think only about a couple of options when it came to career. Either one could become a doctor, one could become an engineer, right? Nobody would think about these different careers. Law was always there, but somewhere between time, it lost its luster, I would say, which is now back,
Yeah, which is now back.
which is back.
So there are certain people who have made it successful,
Uh-huh.
and the generations are following the examples.
And I'm glad today's generation is ready to take challenges, ready to take different careers, not only law. Even if we talk about more unconventional careers like being an RJ or any other unconventional career, I would say, for that
Yeah,
matter. So they are ready to take up that
yeah,
challenge, and they are ready to explore the
absolutely.
unexplored territory.
Hmm. Right, absolutely.
That's good, actually. So, if you can help our viewers with the route, how if somebody in India wants to become a lawyer or an advocate, how one should go about that. There's a difference between advocate and lawyer. We'll come to that also later. But how should one
Yes.
go about pursuing this? How should one plan about this?
So actually, Mr. Sandeep, this is a straight path towards it. If you have it already in your mind, if you have it already with yourself that you have to become a lawyer,
Mhm.
then I would suggest directly after your 12th standard gets over with, your schooling is over with, you take up a 5-year integrated course, which is BALLB or BBLB, whichever course is available as per your marks and percentage and everything in the entrance tests. However, even if you're confused at that stage when you're in school, whether you want to pursue law or something else, if you want to see something else in your life, then you might as well take yourself an admission in BCom or BBA or certain other courses that are available in this area, and then you can always decide later. Law is a field which you can enter into whenever you want to. There's no age bar, there's no skill set that you already have to do it. There's no particular background to which you have to belong: science, commerce, humanities, whichever it is. So even if you are thinking about taking this up as a career after your graduation is over, even then you can take it up as a 3-year course, only LLB. So that way it takes you 6 years, and the other way, the integrated course takes you 5 years. So if you have it already in your mind, you can always go up for an integrated course, which will save 1 year of your life. And yeah, that's how it is.
And I'm sure if you are clear about your career choice in the very beginning, I always would, I have suggested my students who have been counseled by me and all, to go for an integrated course. That actually helps. That is an edge. Somewhere down there, there's an edge. So I'm not saying
There's
people who are pursuing, their LLB after their graduation, they're at some loss or something. But definitely, there's an edge if you start
no.
building up the blocks right from the beginning.
Hmm. So this is a both way thing. Now, if you have chosen a 5-year integrated program, this means that you already had it in mind. You certainly had it in yourself that you have to
Absolutely.
become a lawyer or an advocate one day.
Right.
So there's certain confidence or faith in you that is naturally developed in a person who is speaking to you, who is coming up to you. Now, when you choose it after completing your graduation, there's no loss at all. You can obviously, you can most definitely go about it. But there's certain things that you'll have to figure out. You'll have to face, because in an integrated course, you're from the very beginning, from very scratch, you are focused towards one direction only.
Correct.
Now, all these things to be done in a 3 years course, which is only LLB, that takes up some efforts. That's all. There's nothing else to it.
Absolutely. So let's talk about some of the entrance tests that one should actually preparing for or look for, and people who do not know how to get into law and all. What are the entrance tests one should prepare for?
Okay, there are certain taken chance for. Most importantly, there is CLAT.
Mhm.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, now.
Most importantly, there's CLAT, which covers all the national law universities all over India,
Yeah.
but none of which is in Delhi.
Mm.
Delhi has a separate NLU, National Law University Delhi, for which there's an entrance test called IELT, AILET.
AILAT.
So these are two procedures for getting into an NLU.
Mm.
Now, there are certain other universities, good universities, I would suggest. There's IP University in Delhi,
Mhm.
which has a common entrance test for it. There's Symbiosis, which is in Pune and Noida. So there's Symbiosis entrance test for that. And there are various other universities all over India which are very good. Christ University,
Christ is
Bangalore.
one of them.
It has a separate, yeah, it has a separate entrance test altogether. There are colleges in Mumbai. There's one in Dehradun. UP is Dehradun. There are a lot of good universities all over India. There are certain universities that are opting out of CLAT also. They're going to hold their separate entrance tests also. So I think when I got myself enrolled back in 2013 in a law college, the criteria, everything was very different.
Right.
The entrance tests were different. So I think in today's scenario, I think you would be able to guide us better, guide the viewers better. What is this situation now? What are the criteria right now? So I think I'll leave that to you. What is the situation today? What are the entrance tests are there today?
No, I think you pretty much took all the big names, all the route that you told us is absolutely bang on. And yes, obviously, but we have you as an expert today, so it's your day, and definitely you have highlighted all the routes that one should be following or should be preparing for. And
Yes,
obviously, we also have posted a video on this earlier on our YouTube channel, and we have posted some information about law on our Instagram channel as well before this,
that's great.
so people can
That's
refer to
great.
that
That's
too.
great.
So let's discuss about some of the opportunities, some of the upcoming and new opportunities available for lawyers these days. People who have done their law successfully now. The course is done. They want to enter into the
Hmm.
career arena now. What are the different
Hmm.
opportunities you think are available today?
Uh, when we talk about law as a career, there's this one straight formula that everyone develops in their mind, that if someone is pursuing law, he'll be a lawyer or an advocate. That's all. This is not the case today. Even when you enter law, you are in the law college, you'll realize is there are several tons of options out there. Even after you complete your law, even if you don't want to be a lawyer or a practicing advocate, there are several other paths which you can follow even after completing your law.
Absolutely.
For example, one very bright career for every student who has completed law is straight away entering into judiciary. You can become a judicial officer,
Mm-hmm.
entry level judge,
Yeah.
what we call it in layman language. You can become an entry level judge, civil judge, by taking several exams that are conducted all over the country in different states, obviously subject to language restrictions.
Right.
So one can become a judicial officer. It's a very noble job. It's a very high profile, it's a very honored job,
Well
to be very
recognized. Yes.
honest.
Yes.
Well recognized. Yes. Now you can obviously become an advocate, practicing advocate, arguing in courts, taking up matters, talking to clients, giving advices, that all. You can become a legal researcher. Legal researchers are those who work under judges and handle actual cases, assist the judges, honorable judges of our country in researching the cases that are actually there in the courts,
Right.
assisting them with respect to the background of the case, with respect to the previous judgments on the same topic and everything. You can go into government jobs. There's every government job. There's every government department which has to have a legal department in it.
Absolutely.
So you can take up a job there also. You can get into a legal department of a government ministry, government department.
I think you
So
can
you
become a
can become a
teacher.
lecturer after.
Yes, you can become a
Yes,
teacher.
right. Absolutely. Absolutely. You can become a lecturer, teacher. There are several schools these days which are offering law as a subject also in 11th
Absolutely.
and 12th. In colleges also, definitely you have to study law. Only after that you can become a lecturer. So for that also, lecturer and a teacher is a very good job, I think. Teaching others what you've already studied is, giving them what you have already earned. So lecturer is a very good job
Correct.
for this. So there are tons of options even after you complete your law.
And I've seen a couple of examples here where people have entered journalism after doing law. They are specifically
Yes,
writing
absolutely.
writing criminal cases or whatever it is related to law or judiciary. They're writing
Absolutely.
things about that. They're freelancing writers.
Yes.
They're freelancing writers on that. Freelancers who are
Yes.
doing a tremendous job.
Absolutely.
And these days, the freelancers are doing wonders. So everybody is sitting at home, and freelancers are the one who has the most of the
Actually,
jobs to do.
yes, actually. And plus, what I would like to suggest every viewer is that, as the society has grown, as we have evolved, as we have developed in different manners and different aspects, there has to be a legal aspect to everything that we do these days, in every company, in every smallest of smallest organizations, there has to be a legal department in that.
Yes.
So everything has to be as per law. Everything has to be legal. Now, to make those things legal and advise people on those legal things who are not into the field, who don't understand the in-depth things of law, it's ever increasing career. It's an ever increasing career.
I understand that. And, all these big corporate houses and all that, they have massive workload for their legal departments. So getting into new
Right?
agreements and settling disputes and all that stuff, working with new customers and all that, they need these departments to help them out of difficult situations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what.
So that's very well, I think, pointed out all the things in that. So it used to be a perception, when we talk about earlier times. It used to be a perception of BALLB. So the route was humanities. It used to be. I'm saying, all right. So, do you think? I think the perception has changed when it comes to the scenario today. The perception has changed. It's not only for art students; it's also for commerce students, and even science students are opting for law sometimes. So, what do you think about that?
As you're correctly saying, Mr. Sandeep, this is only a perception. It was actually never the case. It was only a perception back then. It's a perception now.
Yeah.
So I wanted to tell everyone that, there's no fixed field that you have to come from to join law as a career. You can come from science background, you can come from commerce background in your school, you can come from arts, humanities background, whichever background, even science, medical, non-medical, does not matter. If you want to pursue law, you can do it at any age, with any field, with anything that you have in your life.
Correct.
Also, there's certain organizations that I've seen, certain law firms that specifically require lawyers from science background. Now, for example, if I tell you, there's an IP law firm, patents, trademarks, copyrights. So for that, law firms prefer a lawyer from science background who can
I would just
understand
like
all
to.
of that.
Sorry to cut you in between. I just like to expand that IP is intellectual property that we're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, right. Intellectual property laws.
So I thought I would just highlight. Yeah, please carry on.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's what I was saying. There's certain law firms that specifically require people from science background. So it's never the case that science people cannot, or maybe there's no purpose of joining law as a career for science people. You've done science, why are you becoming a lawyer? No, there's no such case. Becoming a lawyer is as professional as becoming a scientist or an engineer or a doctor.
Absolutely, I believe that. Yes.
Yes.
So, what do you think? What are the upcoming fields in law, upcoming career avenues in law? So, some of them we talked about. That people can
Yeah.
get into corporate. IP is intellectual property is one of the highlighted fields that people are getting into and can get into also, which offer
Yes.
very progressive careers there. Are there any other fields that you would like to highlight which are upcoming?
uh, Law is an ever evolving subject. It never stops growing. Every other day, you will have a different interpretation of a provision of the same statute that was there since 1963, since 1960. But you will have a different interpretation of every provision contained in it every day, every week, every year, a different interpretation. So this is just an example that I'm giving you. Law is an ever evolving, ever growing subject, if we talk about it for that matter. So, there are a lot of avenues that are coming up now, which were not there earlier in this field only. For example, you must have heard a lot about human rights law taking up, the
Correct.
line these
Correct.
days. So, a lot of people, when anything wrong happens to any person in any part of the world, they human rights law is absolutely attracted towards that situation,
Correct.
towards that particular case. So, this is the way that law is taking up various avenues, different paths inside itself, within itself also.
We put on TV
So,
these days and we see a lot of human rights things going on, around us.
yeah, human rights violation, if any person is harmed in any possible manner,
Yeah,
it's a human right violation.
it's
It
important.
wasn't there back then. It wasn't there back then. Yeah. So human rights law is taking up a great, bright side of it
Mhm.
now. Uh, these days, lawyers are becoming legal advisors in huge companies who hire lawyers, advocates from outside when they have to pursue a case in a court of law.
Yeah.
But within the company, they are the legal advisors. You can become retainer in a company, in a retainer in a startup. There are various companies that are, growing now on that level, or there are various startups
Hmm.
in which you can become a legal advisor or a retainer or assisting them in the legal field.
Right.
So, and plus IP law, IP, intellectual property rights are ever increasing with a lot of, increase in number of companies, trademarks, patents, new developments, new innovations, new various other things.
Correct.
So it's, yeah.
Right. So, since beginning, we've been talking about lawyers, we've been talking about advocates. So, there's a difference between these two, right? Would you like to highlight that? What is the difference?
That's an interesting one, actually. There's a very thin line difference, Mr. Sandeep, between the two. Actually, there's not much difference. For the starters, I would like to tell you that every advocate is a lawyer, but every lawyer is not an advocate, if we call it.
Okay.
So now, if you have completed law, if you're a law graduate, you're a lawyer.
Hmm.
But to become an advocate, you have to practice in law. You have to practice in courts of law.
Okay.
You have to practice. You have to take up cases from clients. You have to take it further to the courts. You have to argue. You have to get a decision.
Right.
So that way you're an advocate. If you've completed a law and if you're, in a legal department of a government ministry, of a government department, then you're a lawyer. You're not an advocate there. So there's a very thin line difference. Both are, more or less the same. But there's a very thin line difference that, which I pointed out.
No, interesting. I think people should know about this. There are very less people who even talk about this or know about this. So when we talk generally in a very generic way, we say he's a lawyer or he's an advocate. So we
Yeah.
don't understand. People don't understand the difference, if there at all is a difference between these two. And then there is. So thanks for
Yeah.
highlighting that. So while we have talked about many things about this, and can we list down the specializations in law now? One, we were talking about IP, intellectual property. So is that a
Yes.
specialization that you say that would exist in law?
It's a specialization, but only after you complete your law.
Hmm, hmm.
There are certain specialization subjects in law colleges also,
Okay.
but I think, they're only book reading. They're only theory based.
Hmm.
If you have to genuinely practice a specialized subject in law, then you have to practically do it in courts
Yeah,
or in companies or in law firms
of course.
specifically. Now, once you finish your law, your course, BALLB or BBLLB or whatever,
Mhm.
thereafter, only after getting into practice, getting into the field practically, you will be able to understand what would be your specialization, what you are interested in. Are you understanding IP law? Great. Are you understanding IP law in a very good manner? You have a hang of it. You are a specialized person in IP law.
Mhm.
There's various other specializations. There are certain lawyers, there are a lot of lawyers who are specialized in all the fields, they have a hang of civil matters, criminal matters,
Correct.
there are IP law, there's human rights law, then there's a lot of bail matters. Certain advocates are specialized in bail matters, they only do bail hearings. Then there's contract law, then there's matrimonial, there's divorce lawyers. We
Correct.
call certain lawyers, he's a divorce lawyer.
Right.
So that way, there are a lot of specializations, but you only get to realize it when you actually enter the field. and you actually start doing it.
Absolutely.
So that's when you become a specialized person, only after you are in the field already, you have done something in the field by
Correct.
yourself.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So, do you think? So, what is the scope of law in India if we talk about today's scenario and we look at the future? So, of course, this is the time when
Hmm.
everything is a bit down or something like that, and everybody is like
Hmm.
thinking dicey about the situation. How is it going to be, and how is it going to turn around? So, what do you think, as far as the law is concerned? What is the road ahead, and how is the scope in future?
As I told you earlier, also, almost everything these days is dependent upon law.
Hmm.
For example, right now, for example, the situation that we are in right now, Mr. Sandeep, I tell you something. When the lockdown started,
Uh-huh.
when it just started on 25th of March, the
Uh-huh.
first query that I had from a client was, how is it going to be? How are we going to go about salaries of our employees? We want to lay them off. We don't. We cannot pay. We just cannot pay. How can we get off from that? Now, the same is the situation with an employee who would go up to a lawyer and say, I'm not getting my salary.
They would want to retaliate.
How do I go about it? Yes, how do I go about it? So,
Yeah.
the first question that comes when such a huge global pandemic has hit us is, how is the law going to react to this? I'll go to the court of law as soon as it opens.
Yeah.
This is the dependence that we have today in the field, in law.
Correct.
So I think there's a great scope ahead also. There has been a good scope back then also. Today also there's a great scope. Just the example that I've just given you, the situation that we currently are in. There's a great scope ahead also. This is only going to increase. It is only going to expand. So yeah, there are a lot of fields that we've already discussed also, and there are a lot of fields that are going to come up later also.
Correct.
So it will only increase. It's never going to compress itself.
Correct. And I think, as we were discussing earlier, with the growing interest of the young generation in the field, I think it would have to create more opportunities, and people would focus on creating more opportunities in the field. With the corporates pitching in and the whole scenario being expanded like never before.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. So can we list down some of the mistakes that one should be avoiding when it comes to the path towards making a career in law? What are the few mistakes that one should or one can avoid?
So yes, while I was also going to take entrance tests for law, when I was preparing for the entrance examinations, I wanted to really focus on general knowledge because I heard it from the counselors also, from the teachers also. The general knowledge is something that is going to take you ahead,
Uh-huh.
that is going to give you an edge
Right.
over others in the entrance examination. So this is one thing, one tip. Please note it down, everyone. This is one tip that is going to live forever with you. Enhance your general knowledge. Read newspapers as much as you can. It is going to give you wide knowledge. It is going to give you an edge over others in all the entrance examinations all over the country. There's a separate section of general knowledge in every entrance examination.
Okay.
I didn't used to like reading a lot of general knowledge
Uh,
myself,
uh,
but this has always helped me. Read newspapers. There are certain books also, specific books on general knowledge, which are published every year afresh. So go through them, enhance your general knowledge, and try for a better ranked college.
okay.
Even if you do not get yourself enrolled in a very good college, law is a subject that you have to study from the books. Law is there. Nobody can teach you law that way. Law is there in the books. So you have to study it from there only. College, the ranking of a college doesn't really matter.
Mhm.
But the kind of exposure that you get from there, the moot courts and everything else, the exposure is something that will take you further.
Absolutely. I think that plays an important part. But I could not help myself. I could not stop myself smiling, because at the beginning, when you said everybody advised me to go through, or collect general knowledge or something, and I was thinking that you're about to say that it is not required at all. You gave me that feeling somehow. So I thought it cannot be.
That
So, of course,
that's not the case.
yes, of course, that is important. And what people are
That
telling.
is very important, but one good point when you are pursuing law is that you will not have to study maths. So you're getting a relief there, to study there. Study general knowledge. You're not going to get maths, so be relieved there.
Yes,
So one thing you have to lose. One thing you have to.
sure. Any particular skills that you see
Yes.
a lawyer must have besides the communication skills and critical or logical thinking
Absolutely.
and all? What are the critical?
Communication skills are on the top,
Yeah.
are the priority, I think. Legal understanding. You should understand things from the perspective of the client, from the eyes of the person who is sitting in front of you. You'll have to understand what he is going to think. You'll have to make a perception. You'll have to understand that in a manner that he's going to face,
Yeah.
in future, what is going to come up in front of him if he doesn't choose this path, if the client doesn't choose this path, if I don't do this for him, and certain other things will come up in front of him.
So basically,
These are
you'll
the
be a
things that
student
you
forever.
generally naturally develop. Sorry.
You'll be a student forever, I think. Yes, when you study
Yes,
law. Yeah.
you'll have to keep learning.
Yeah.
You'll have to keep learning. You'll have to keep reading. You'll have to keep understanding more, interpret more,
Uh-huh.
read more, read as many laws, as many statutes that you can.
All right, that's cool advice. So, can you yourself are a lawyer. I don't know whether I should be asking this or not, but you are the best person to answer this question. So I have to ask, what are the pros and cons of being a lawyer? There might be some cons as well, right?
Okay. See, pros are a lot,
All right.
cons are, few, to be very honest. Uh, First of all, when I decided that I'd pursue law, I was scared, just a bit, tiny bit scared that, this is a huge thing. This is an absolutely professional course. I'll have to fight in courts against other lawyers. But then gradually, even during my college days, even while I was in my college, I developed myself in ways that were unknown to me, absolutely unknown. I never knew that this could be myself also. Your personality will develop, your individuality will develop.
Uh-huh.
You will develop in ways that you can't even imagine right now. So I have seen myself changing from this to, huge.
So it brought the best out
I've
in
come
you.
a long way. Yes, most definitely. I was a very average child. I won't say that I'm a very special person right now, also. I'm average only. But certain things that I've noticed in my life changing because of this career, you know, you become ready to face anything and everything. You'll only grow stronger with this career. So you this career will make you a better person for sure.
Okay. And if
This is my take on this.
there are any cons, there are any downside to it.
See, there's hardly any con with respect to this career that I've chosen.
Uh-huh.
But there's certain ups and downs in every career.
Yeah.
If you're not able to do great in this career, you might as well choose something else and go ahead, move on. But there are ups and downs in every particular career that's there available.
Yeah.
But yeah, the one thing that I want to highlight here is there are certain situations in the life of a lawyer, of an advocate, where you have to, I won't say play, but deal with emotions of innocent people. At times, you'll be fighting against someone who is innocent, and maybe you know it deep down, but you will have to do it because this is your job, this is what you do, this is your profession. You'll have to take it professionally. You cannot go with the emotions and sentiments of other side, of other people, what the media will think, what people will think. what is what are the norms of the society. You have to go, a little off track from all of this. If you have to, at certain times, not always, but at certain points of time. But that will only be fine then, because you are already in the field, you're already doing it, you know that this is a part and parcel of your career. So this is there. No other con I think I have realized as yet.
And as far as the time is
If I do, I'll definitely let you know.
sure. So, and as far as the time, that you have to spend, time, that hours of the day, as you have to put in,
Hmm.
I think there's no
Hmm.
uh, asking less in any other profession as well. Even if you are working in an office, or if you are an executive or something, you are still working, those many hours. Being a lawyer, I think, it's a
Yes.
matter of passion
Hmm.
also. Whatever you pursue, for that matter, is a
It's a
matter of
matter of
passion.
passion also.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
And
If you're
yes,
loving what you're doing, then the hours don't matter much. But yes, you always have to have a personal life apart from your professional life. So
that
that's one thing that I always keep in mind.
yeah, that's, I think, great. And it gives me immense pleasure to see, young people like you doing so great in this field, and entering this field and making a name for yourself. And I have seen some of your work, and I think I've seen some of your notes and all that stuff as well that you've published, so that is really great. And I think keep up the good work. Thank you for your
Thanks a
valuable time
lot.
today. Thank you for your valuable time today. And I think in future also, we look forward to connect with you more often, and seek some insights into it.
Most definitely. Most definitely. For other times, we have to seek your appointments and everything, but getting to speak to you live like this, it's pleasure for me.
No appointments for you. You can call me anytime. We can talk anytime. Right?
Thank you, Mrs.
Thanks
Sandeep.
a lot.
Thanks
All
a
the
lot.
best.